I guess we'll open it up to questions from everyone else. I see Rick Becker had his hand up first. Rick, you want to unmute yourself and go ahead?
Yeah. Yes, just a question. Are you going to be taking people's temperatures, which is a very simple procedure, takes 10 or 15 seconds?
How do you want me to do that? No, actually,
as they come in.
All jokes aside, yes, I do have one. I do have the touchless thermometer, but in my opinion, I probably will not use it unless, especially if somebody comes in and doesn't have a card, or somebody wants to be difficult. If you come in with a card and or a negative COVID test, then I will not be using the thermometer. Mm-hmm. If somebody comes in and didn't bring what they're supposed to bring, then I'll use it.
Gary, I want you to take my temperature, Gary.
Well, we'll go into the other room, Harry.
Dad, I hear in Maryland they use the rectal one, so be careful.
I didn't want to go there.
I assume that vendors would be free to make their own policy, and if they want to limit, let's say, limit the number of people in a room or take the temperature of people going into the room, the vendors would be free to do whatever they want.
Correct. I've left that up to the vendors, and I've recommended that each vendor put a sign on the outside of their door. I mean, if they require a mask or wait in line, or you can also limit the number of seats that you have in the standard room. Maybe you only want 4 rather than 10 chairs. And then we'll ask them to queue on the outside of the room. But I've made it clear, and I'll remind people, you can run your room any way you want.
Okay. Paul, you were next with your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask Gary about the rules that we're going to be required within each room as far as social distancing and having, the chairs separated, et cetera. So kind of answered that question already.
But to add on to that, at this point, legally, the state is not requiring any social distancing. And I think they have removed the mask mandate, but the hotel will require you still wear a mask as of today. I'm going to leave it up to each vendor in each room how they want to structure their seating. But you bring up a very good point.
Jonathan, go ahead and ask.
That's pretty funny. Don, nice
this is something that no one has really mentioned, but I'd like to ask Gary how he organizes his business. Do you have like a company that with employees where you only do one show for 3 or 4 days a year? How does something like that work?
Well, that's a good question. Matter of fact, one thing I need to do, like before COVID, I often reserved the hotel a year or 2 years ahead of time. In Montgomery County, Maryland, there's a lot of federal and or local governmental agencies that go to these outlying hotels. So they're busy all the time. So I've reserved this hotel 2 years ago, and I've already reserved for the following year. And I haven't done 2 years ahead, but this year it's just 1 year ahead. Next year will be November 11th through the 13th. And so, but good question. I use Christina Ewan. She does my sales. But everything else, well, besides the website, I have my nephew does all the website maintenance. And I have another person who creates images, and then we apply them to the website. But generally I'm the sole owner, organizer, and I try and do as much of it as I can. But now that if I can spill the beans, and I'm also part of another show coming up in Seattle called the Pacific Audio Fest. So things are going to get more hectic, and I'm going to have to reconsider just being a one-man gang, because it takes a lot of work, and it's not just it happens months and months ahead of time, and not just for those few days ahead of a show. It takes months and months of work to create the website, to create the contracts, working with the bank, etc. So there is quite a bit of work involved.
I would assume you're structured as a sub-S corporation or something like that?
I do. I have an LLC. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and I've got insurance. My insurance is really basic. It's because only if somebody gets injured, they trip and fall. Because in reality, the hotel has their own insurance as well. So and I'll have a security guard. I'll have certain things there, but most of the things I'm kind of my rider ties into the hotel's insurance.
Let's see, David, you had your hand up. You want to go ahead?
Yes. What is the status of the services at the hotel? I've run into situations recently at some hotels where they're not fully up to speed yet regarding their restaurants, their food service, the bars, that type of thing. In a lot of cases, they shut these things down during the peak of COVID, and they've been unable to open them for various reasons. They can't get help, et cetera.
Yep.
So what's the status at the Hilton of the hospitality end of it, the restaurants and whatnot?
Yeah, this is something that was a big concern with me. It was in my contract. I said, if you guys do not have your bar and restaurant open, then that means you're not fully open, and therefore I won't have a show. But these guys, they're staffed. They're still bringing in staff. Matt Weisfeld's buddy Manny is a really good guy. He's like the head of all the floor staff. He's there. They're going to be right now. I'm told that everything's fully open. I've been there. The bar is open. The restaurant is only open on a limited basis. So they are in the process of staffing up right now. If you would go in there right now, you'd say, man, it's empty. So that's a huge concern. They're claiming that they're going to be ready to go. And I go there almost twice, 3 times a week, since it's about 1.5 miles from my house. But I will go there on Monday and check with them again. And I'll sample the food. I know the beer taps weren't open. They were only selling bottled beer. They were only selling wine out of bottles. And I said, it's not going to work that way. So I've already established my menu. I've established what they're going to have on draft. And so they claim they're going to be ready to go. But that's a great question. It's very concerning.
Manny is in my will.
Yeah.
Just to throw something out there about Manny and the hotel and services. I've been talking to Manny a lot, and I can't confirm or deny, nor will Manny and nor will Gary, but there may or may not be a fire pit right outside, right by the VPI house, right by the VPI wing. So anyone who's, I didn't come up with this idea. Last year when Aaron Sherrick did his mini show, there was a fire pit by the hotel. It was so great because anyone who wanted to talk, like more than like they needed to, it was like, hey guys, look, there's a fire pit. Go out there and talk. So we're bringing a fire pit. I mean, we may or may not be bringing a fire pit.
Right.
It's apparently it's all kosher. And speaking of alcohol, we're bringing a lot of the folks that helped us make hand sanitizer. They're giving us so much alcohol, and we're going to need some help to drink it around the fire pit. So if anyone's worried about the bar, it's just saying. So I heard, not confirming anything, right, Gary? Wink,
yes, exactly.
Wink.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gary.
Oh, there's also it's an internet Facebook group called the DC Hi-Fi Home Theater Group, and they are in the library, which is over near the VPI wing, and they had a GoFundMe account. They've got like $3,000. They have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. So they've been buying alcohol and food and everything else. So it's going to be a big, massive man party up there. So they asked me, and again, they're saying, well, what about smoking cigars? What about et cetera? I said, I really don't want to know about it because
Link me
legally
up with
you're not
them.
supposed to.
We'll do more stuff that you should know about.
Right. So, but the hotel is, I think they're going to turn a blind eye because they want the business. They're hungry. So this is the first major show for them of the year, and the year's almost over. So the hotel is very hungry.
And guys, just to throw out one more thing on a service standpoint, what we're going to try, and if it works, I'm going to hardcore, Gary, I'm going to bug you about it for next year. We're going to bring 2 80-inch TVs for our room, one for each room. And we're going to have a laptop. Basically what we're doing right now, we're going to create a Zoom opportunity for people to join either of our rooms. If it's a failure, then I'll be able to say, hey, Gary, we tried and failed. If it's a big success, we'll see what happens. So that way, if anyone's still apprehensive about the show, or if you're in California, you can still join us.
I can tell you this. I don't know if, Matt, have you signed up for internet services with the hotel?
Oh, should I do that?
Well, I've complained quite a bit. They're doing a hardline Ethernet, and it's for the week, 4 days. It's, I think, $550.
Okay.
I'm just throwing it out there. Some people have issues with it. Others are saying that it's pretty much status quo with other shows, but
I was going to use my phone as a hotspot like I did last year.
There you go.
Or 2 years ago, whatever.
Right.
Then we'll see what happens.
Okay.
So if it works out, great. I mean, if not, we'll see what happens. But I'm hoping, we love your show, Gary. And he's not bragging enough about himself. The man set up my room for me. Gary himself with his strong muscles over here when my arm was in a sling. And Gary personally set the room up for me. And that's why it sounded so funky that year.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm gonna say goodbye.
All right, Harry.
Actually, I'm gonna get back to my family also,
this
guys.
afternoon.
So
I'll see you.
All right,
see
see you
you
See
there.
everybody there.
I'm looking forward to the New Jersey whiskey and gin in the BPI room.
Yeah.
I think in 2019, wasn't there a bourbon tasting in the lobby?
Yes.
If I remember correctly, that was nice.
Yeah, we had bourbon. There was 2 distillers there, and there was a brewery that was giving out samples. This year, I didn't pursue them. It's tough enough just getting the hotel bar in place. And by the way, on Thursday, I'm providing a vendor happy hour, and on Friday there is a general public happy hour from 6 to 8. So come into the bar, and I'm giving out drink tickets.
Awesome.
Yep.
I'll have to do that. Let's see. Rick Becker, you had your hand up again?
Yes, Gary, last night I was trying to do my homework and correlate the manufacturers with the specific rooms they're in, and the floor plans on the website were pretty small and they wouldn't print out on large things, so I couldn't kind of draw those correlations. Will you have a program that has who's in what room available?
Yes, we're going to have a program. I think it's not as large as it was 2 years ago, but we'll have a program that will have a list of all the brands and the rooms where they're located, as well as copies of the floor plans in the program. So it should be pretty easy to maneuver around the venue with the floor plan and the room numbers. Also, I've got large floor standing phone boards that will that provide maps and corresponding lists of all the numbered rooms and what vendor is in which room, whether it be a meeting room or a standard room.
Thank you.
Sure.
Very good. Jay, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Yeah. Gary, in the past, I've stayed at local hotels, not right at the venue hotel. And I know there's been free parking for the show. Do you know if you're staying at the hotel, if they're still going to charge a parking fee for overnight guests?
Yeah. So that one, there is free parking for the hotel. Even if you're an attendee, it's free parking. Basically, I've paid a flat fee, so that they would keep the gates open. So no worries about that.
Good. Good.
But
Also,
on the Hilton side, it seemed like they were charging $20 a night for
Yep.
parking.
but not for the weekend, not for me. I
Oh.
basically paid them, I think it was somewhere around $5,000 for them just to keep the gates open.
Does the weekend include Thursday night?
Yes, because the vendors show up on Thursday. As you know, the vendors come on Thursday. Some show up on Wednesday to start the setup process so that they're ready to go for 10 a.m. on Friday.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
We had one question about a violinist, Isabel Corriveau.
Oh yeah, Isabeau. She was the beautiful violinist running around in that magnificent dress 2 years ago, selling her
cellist.
albums and autographing them.
I thought she was a cellist.
Or a cellist. I'm sorry. Yes, cellist.
Yes. Yes, I have right here.
Isabeau. Yes, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
And that record sounds pretty good too. She was actually
Yeah.
selling a nice record.
Yeah, not bad at all. She came unannounced with the Toronto show organizers, and they just said, "Hey, do you mind if she plays in the hallway?" And that's great. So not an issue. As of today, I'm not aware of any of those surprises.
Mhm.
Is there going to be a headphone area like as usual?
Yes, there is the Linear Tube Audio company has what I call the headphone lounge. And so the LTA lounge, basically, they have approximately 8 tables, and they like to control the lounge because they use only their amplification. And then they bring in separate headphone manufacturers that share the space. After that, extending into the hallway further towards the Plaza Ballroom, that is where I think there's 3 or 4 more headphone vendors that will be bringing their own amplifiers and or headphones. So yes, there will be a designated headphone space. Then also in the atrium, that's where there's the slew of new and used vinyl vendors. Down in that area where VAC von Schweikert is, down there, there's CD Seller is the largest retailer in the area. They have a lot of audiophile pressings. They also have a lot of used vinyl. They're probably the largest retailer in the DC metro area. Then after that, there's all kinds of these guys that, they have booths at flea markets, they sell out of their trunk, etc. And all these guys, they do little swap meets, etc. And there should be 20 to 30 of those guys in the atrium as well. So it should be lots of table vendors.
Excellent. And did on the seminars, who are some of the people that are, besides Kermis, you said is going to give his record cleaning seminar? Who are some other people we would know?
Wally Tools. Let me open it up. The gentleman who does the theremin, the current mode when stylus meets the groove. Then we have Dr. Vinyl doing a discussion about all the things with analog coming up, bringing life back to vinyl. I keep going here. My Tech will be discussing technology and in their DACs. Then, oh yeah, of course, Acora has the 2 nights. One is with their mastering engineers, Dave McNair.
Who's giving the advanced turntable setup? I see somebody actually linked, Jerry linked in the chat the link for the schedule of events. And I see there's 2 turntable setup And,
Yeah, we're
and-
missing that. I need to work on this. It's
right.
not saying who it is. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. Yes.
And the current mode phono preamp, is that Rob Robinson doing that one?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Okay.
Channel D. Channel
Okay.
D. Yes.
Gary, thank you. We don't have any more hands up, but we can, I will open up the meeting to anybody that wants to talk. Just unmute yourself and then remute yourself if you don't mind. Gary, I really appreciate you doing this for us. I look forward to being there next week and seeing you and enjoying the show and enjoying the restaurants.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. Thanks for having me on your venue. I appreciate that. I have one question for the general public.
Yeah.
I'm going to show an image of something. And I want to see if anybody knows what it is. This is my favorite preamplifier of all time. Let me know if anybody knows what this is. If you can see the white face. Does anybody know what that is? My favorite preamp of all time. It's called it's early 60s Lafayette KT 600.
A Lafayette.
Yes.
Wow, that was a blast from the past.
Did you
So
build
if
it
anybody-
yourself?
Yeah, I swear you'll be impressed. It's like if you're gonna listen, it's in the same caliber as like the Marantz 7, as Macintosh C20 or Citation 1, those kind of things. So very nice sound. The phono stage sucks.
I think that was actually designed by Stu Hegeman,
It was correct.
and a precursor to the Citation 1.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
That was my stump the chump question of the day. But yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. And,
Gary, before you go, I'd just like to throw this out there to you, if you're up to it, if you can. Those restaurants that you mentioned, and some that you didn't, is it possible for you to post those on your Capital Audio Fest webpage for everybody to be able to refer to?
I can do that. Sure.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll do that. Some of them don't have websites, so it'll be basically a name and an address and a phone number.
That's more than enough. Yeah, just so we can look it up if we have to.
Yeah, and they're all about a 2-mile radius from the venue, from the hotel.
So it's walking distance. Great.
Okay. Or Uber or Lyft.
I assume Akira Ramen is still there?
I don't know where that is.
Oh, well, I'm not going to tell you then.
Oh, is that your
There's
secret?
always
It's
a
right next
45-minute wait to get in, so I'm not.
Yeah. It's right next door to the hotel on the same side as the hotel,
I see.
next to the little strip center. I think there's a Five Guys there.
Yes.
If I remember.
And a Chinese hot pot place there also, I believe.
Yeah, excellent ramen. Excellent.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's still there.
Yeah,
they're still around.
they have the best. Yeah, that's the best ramen place I've ever had.
Good news.
But I'm only saying that because our participants have dropped down to 31, so I'm only spilling the beans to 30 people here.
Yeah, just remember, Mark, you brought that up. I didn't. I'm just chiming in.
I know. Yeah, it may be like 10 or 11 at night that I'm able to get into the ramen place now. But Gary, don't spread the word about that.
Promise.
Anything else? Anything else?
There's too long of a wait already.
Yeah, they're too small and have too long of a wait. Although they do takeout. I just don't know where we would go to eat it. But
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary.
All right. Thanks again, guys. I'm going to
Thank
take
you,
off.
Gary.
I appreciate it. See you
Okay.
next weekend.
Looking forward to it.
Likewise.